back to Brick by Brick. It's Andres.
It's Kevin.
And in this episode, we're going to be talking more about budgeting awareness and how important that is, and how we can get our finances in place, or like just in general, our experiences with that. But yeah, here it goes. So I think a good thing to start when it comes to budgeting awareness is like knowing where your money goes. How important do you feel like that is?
I feel like it's very important because then it seems like, money can disappear if you don't really take care of it. But what do you feel like is some ways of, taking care of it?
In my personal experience, like especially recently, like having to track everything, I use a spreadsheet for my budgets, and at the end of the day, if I like go and buy something, I have to plug it into that, and I think just that deters me from wanting to buy things, because I have to go and plug it in. Now I'm lazy. If I don't buy anything that day, I don't have to go into the spreadsheet and put it in.
Yeah. Something that works for me, because I'm a little bit more like old school, I guess, is actually taking out the money. I feel like when you use your Apple Pay, you'll just like put your phone in the thing and then you'll just go on about your day. But I feel like if you actually have the money and physically give something to someone, it might have more of an impact on you. But it's a preference thing, really. I know you like basically just like tracking everything digitally.
Yeah.
But another way is doing that. Getting the money and then just kind of putting your budget within that money, because then it will seem like it's disappearing. And
how long have you been doing that for?
I want to say maybe like the last year I've been doing that. Having like money on my wallet for
Your monthly expenses, maybe.
Yes, it depends. If it's like I have like a hybrid almost. So I have my automatic payments that like it's just easier for me to take my rent from my checkings account versus like having it actually cash. But like discretionary spending, so like Monsters or going out and stuff like that, it is pretty good to have the money in the wallet. That's actually money that you don't need to spend,
like that,
but you want to spend.
Yeah, that you have it.
Wants,
like you have it accounted for. Like everything for your month and for your savings is in the bank account, and everything for like what you can spend on yourself and your wallet. That's actually super smart. I've never thought about it that way, because I feel like also like spending money in cash is easier. But like I don't know. I guess it depends on how you are and what your habits look like. I think something that's helped me a lot is like identifying the things or having an app for budgeting. I don't know. Did you ever use Mint?
I did use it before I think they stopped.
Before it stopped existing?
Yeah, basically. But no, it was really good. I loved it because it was just easy to track everything. Now I just use a spreadsheet really, and that's what I use. But I know there's like a lot of budgeting apps and stuff like that. I don't know, what do you...
I'm using Rocket Money, which is like the status quo that's gone, and like it's helped me keep track of like if I have subscriptions that it notices that I'm like paying for every month, it'll track them and it'll say the date that they're charging it, and I can be ready for it. And I think that's helped a lot because I also put that into my budgeting spreadsheet. Like everything that I see recurring every month, I just add it to my monthly budget. And I know how much it's going to be, and I know like to expect it. And then, for example, with my Netflix account, I was able to like cancel it because I stopped using it. Like I think I have Netflix and Max and Crunchyroll because like my family uses it. I don't use it anymore, but I pay for it anyways. But I think that's helped a lot. Like just keep it visual, keep track of it, and then if my account balance goes below a certain amount, I'll get a notification with it. So I think something that I really want to touch on, and this is something that I got from like YouTube videos and how important it is. Every morning, like the first thing to do when you wake up, check your bank account. That way it hurts a little bit.
It hurts.
Do you do that?
Yeah, it was by Alex Hormozy, the man himself. Where I got it from is like every time you wake up, just look at your phone. It will, if you don't have money, then it will hurt you, and it'll make you. It could tweak something in your brain where it's like, all right, I need to actually do something today that will either generate or maybe build an asset that will actually put money into your wallet or into your 401k or whatever. But it is a very good way to hurt yourself in a good way.
Yeah,
that's the best way I can put it.
Yeah, and what I've noticed, like eating out is such like it's not a big chunk of anyone's income.
Yeah.
But it is way more expensive than buying something. Like I know that here, at least in El Paso, like a meal is what, $12 to $15
It's
for one person.
For one person. Yeah. But if you have a girlfriend,
or like for multiple people, it goes up to like 20 between 20 to 30.
Yeah, close. Yeah.
And like getting a cart, what's it called? Like a thing of chicken.
Like
Big thing of chicken from Sam's, or probably, I don't know if they have that in Costco. That's $20, and it's going to last you a week. Like
it's gonna feed you more than 20.
It's gonna feed it's gonna feed you 5 meals maybe.
Yeah.
For $20 at least, and then rice is super cheap.
I got actually from Sam's Club. I got like a huge thing of rice.
Yeah.
That was like $20 actually too.
I get it from Walmart. I've had a huge bag of rice, and it's lasted me the past 6
months.
And it still has like this much left.
Yeah.
And I think that's like I just left that there. I forgot about it. I don't even know how much I paid for it, but I know it wasn't more than $30, and it's for 6 months of rice. And like just the expensive part is the chicken. It's $20 for like 10 meals.
Yeah. So essentially, you're like spending like maybe I want to say less than $1 to like 50 cents per meal instead of spending $20.
I don't think it's $1, but maybe like $2-3.
You don't think
per
so?
meal? Because $20, what is that, like 5-10 meals? Between 5 and 10 meals?
Well, that depends. Like how many servings you take out of your chicken. I feel like I personally take out
I can make
with the whole thing.
I can make like 10 to 12 meals with.
I can make it last a very long time. I think I can make it
It'll
where it's
last me.
10 meals.
It lasts me a week because I eat a lot of chicken. But
Yeah, it's like 10 meals for me.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
like 10 meals.
Like 10 meals, yeah, in general, and like that's $120 at least for the week that you spend $20 for. So it's what, 6 times the cost that you're saving in buying food, making it out. It's not as good because I know that the fast food meals put a bunch of stuff in it to like keep you addicted. And I'm not saying it's wrong to go out. Like
You can
eat
just
out
make it once a while.
once a week,
Yeah.
twice a week even.
I would
like,
say like twice.
twice. I think twice a week is super reasonable, and then the rest of the times you get home. And I don't know. I feel like that's a good starting point. That's a super good starting point because it gets you in that saving mentality. Maybe it's gonna save you like what you're gonna spend $100, $200 less in a month, which isn't much. But it's gonna add up.
Yeah,
in place.
it seems like it's not a lot of money when you're actually like, going through the motion of, buying food and stuff. But like when you actually, look at your spending, right? You go through it with a fine comb and loop. You'll notice that, oh look, I bought Popeyes here, McDonald's over here. And then if you add it for the whole week, if you add them up, it's gonna be probably like right around like $50. And that times 4, because there's 4 weeks in a month, that's gonna be probably something around like $100 to $200. That depends, right? It can go higher. So it's basically, identifying what your habits are, because it's not only, tangled with food, it's also with like, I don't know, maybe you game a lot, and I don't know, let's say just an example, maybe you like playing FIFA, right?
You buy a bunch of Fortnite V-Bucks.
You basically buy a bunch of points and stuff like that here and there, you're like, it doesn't affect my budget and whatever, until you actually like look at it and say, whoa.
I know you're super big on FIFA. Did you ever go through that phase?
No, luckily no.
No.
I personally I think I've only spent like maybe $1 or $2 in games.
I think when Fortnite was super big, I spent like $40 on that.
Yeah.
On like skins, but
Oh,
I was never. I used to be big on video games, but like when I was smaller and
I would play them a lot.
I didn't have money to spend it, so I never got into that.
Yeah, basically.
But I think the biggest accountability factor that can help out is having a budgeting app because it makes it visual. Like it makes you aware of how much you're spending, where you're spending it, and it puts things into categories. If it's using like Domino's Whataburger, it's gonna put it into.
That's what Rocket Money's really good at too.
Have you tried it?
I've tried it before, yeah. But I don't like apps. But that's personal preference. I like the spreadsheet ones.
Do you check your? I like them because I use them to get it. Like I use the categories like in my spreadsheet. I put the categories from Rocket Money into my spreadsheet, and then I add the recurring budget that shows on the app. I put it as an expected expense for next month, and I don't think one replaces the other. I think they can be.
Yeah, I think it's just really preference. To me, it's because of I like to separate it by checks. Like I like to spend my checks before I even get them. So if I know I'm gonna get, I don't know, 2 checks in next month, I'm already like looking at what I have to spend. Like, okay, this one's gonna pay for rent and insurance, and then this other one is gonna pay for food and groceries and all of that stuff. It depends really. But preference, it really is preference. But as long as you're doing it and identifying your habits and cutting the waste, then that's pretty much how you will know what you have, and it will last you a lot longer.
Yeah. 100%. I get that, man. And like talking about that, like going into knowing your goals and what you want that spare money for, I think a really big thing is avoiding debt and overspending, because like when you have credit cards, it becomes so easy to just put things on the credit card and pay it when it comes. But what if you overspend, don't have the money, and then like now you're paying interest on that?
Exactly.
And it's not a small interest. Like if you have $1,000 and your interest is 24%, like you're paying $240 for that. Like it's costing you more than what people are paying on their home loans.
What do you feel like it's the number one reason why people spend money on credit card?
It's easy.
Is it easy?
Yeah, it's I was gonna say you have no idea, but you do have an idea of how easy. Like Apple Pay makes it so easy to spend nowadays. Just having your card in your phone, it doesn't even give you a chance to think about it.
It's a good and a bad thing, really.
No, no, you're right. It's a good and a bad thing.
It's a good and a bad thing.
Like simplicity is always good, and like if you forget your card, you're going to have it.
Yes.
But
I feel like it depends on the type of person, whether it's
it
more
feels less
good
real.
or bad.
If like the money feels less real when you just have cards.
Yeah.
When you have 50 cards, and I don't know, man. I think that's how I feel because it's super easy. Like just going.
Just to go.
You don't even check your bank account. You don't check if you have money. That's why I really like your idea about having cash for like personal gratification money.
Yeah.
I think that's super smart, and I might start adopting that. I didn't know you did that.
No.
Yeah. I might start adopting that because when you pass your credit card, you don't check your bank account. Do you ever check your bank account to see if you have the money or not?
Well, when I used to, because I don't anymore because we're trying to go down in the debt. We're not perfect, so we know what mistakes there is to make. Basically, I was just trying to verify them. But when it comes to your question, you said like,
I don't remember my question. I just blanked completely. I think I asked you if.
No, you asked me.
It was terrible. It was about like suspending cash. I don't think I asked you a question.
No, I think you did, but I went through another way. I did a loop on it, but.
Wait, yeah. What was your answer?
My answer to your question, or
this is horrible.
Like, what do you mean, like?
I think we need to sleep more, man.
we need more Monster, bro. That's what we need. Already finished it? Wow, amazing. Anyways, but basically, it's just taking care of your habits, and a credit card will only amplify them. So, if you are barely either thinking about getting a credit card or barely exploring credit card options and what the credit card world don't get tangled in the points. A lot of people get hooked with those because they see some other like YouTubers getting like free stuff. But keep in mind those are very, very disciplined individuals.
I think it's a super good tool to leverage.
Yeah, I think so too.
If you can do it responsibly.
It's like responsibly.
It's like gambling with extra steps.
If you don't,
you're gambling on yourself to not overspend on that.
Basically, like if you don't have the money to spend that at that moment to pay off the card as ASAP, do not spend it.
I think budgeting is super important for people that have credit cards.
Yeah, like don't even think about putting it on a credit card because it's very easy. Like if you miss
I'll pay it next month, and then something comes up next month.
Then something, and then it's gonna start snowballing and snowballing and snowballing. But what do you feel like is what's a good way to like not get into that habit of, you know, okay, maybe I'll let this one payment slide, and then for it to just snowball from there.
A good way to not get into the habit, I think the best way to not get into the habit is to not get into the habit. If you make a payment with your card, make sure that the money's there. I think budgeting, like, it's super simple, but it's super like necessary, because if you budget, you know how much you're going to spend. I don't know if that makes sense. Like,
that makes sense.
If you're budgeting and you're like, I have $200 for groceries, and you want to spend $300, but your budget's at $200, but you know you're not gonna have $300. Like, just don't spend it. You can hold off a little bit.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a very good way, and it's a very logical way. But for the people who struggle with feelings, let's say like maybe
not getting a credit card, that's the best. I think that's the
best. But let's say you already have a credit card.
Because you need a credit card for a lot of things, because a credit score is super important right now.
It's used for
like if you want to get an apartment, you need that. If you want to go like live somewhere and
you have to have a credit score,
you need a credit score. I don't know, man. Like, I think what I want to do, I want to link the spreadsheet that I use, and like maybe make a video on it on how to use it. But I'm gonna link it down in the description so that everyone has access to it, because if you have a credit card and maybe you have a little bit more debt, like $100 in debt that you haven't paid off, like pay it off right now and start budgeting for next month.
Yeah.
Because 100%. Like compound interest is a real thing. And it's really good when you're getting money from it, but it's really bad when you're getting taken money from you.
And people don't realize that like once you have a balance in one of your cards, you're being charged everyday interest, and it's an everyday thing. A lot of people don't know how a credit card works, but you're being charged interest every single day. So if even if you pay off your balance the 2 months after that, the next month you're still gonna be charged somewhat of interest. So keep that in mind as well. That it's an everyday thing. To me, when I learned that, that's what triggered that. Wow, like I need to clear all of my credit card debt ASAP, because and it will eventually snowball to something that's bigger and cost you more money, and it's gonna be harder basically to pay off.
And the credit card shouldn't be like, hey, I'm gonna use this because I don't have money to buy it. Like, if you don't have money, you don't have money. Like,
I think that's the number one
mistake. Treat it as a debit card.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have money, you can't go and buy something.
I feel like that's the number one mistake people make, because I made that mistake. I used the credit card for, at the time, I think I wasn't making that much money, and I believe like I blew my budget. So to me, it was very easy for me to go, oh, well, I'll pay my insurance with my credit card, and I'll put it on the credit card and then just worry about it later.
And insurance is expensive. How much are you paying for insurance?
Right now, like $280.
You're still paying? Cancel that.
Cancel my insurance.
Dude, you're not driving.
No, but it still has to have full coverage. It still has a lien.
Oh, that sucks. That's horrible, man.
Don't get cars.
No, hold up. That's so sad, because it's at the shop. Nothing's gonna happen to it. Well, but you still have to have insurance.
You still have to have insurance by contract.
Yeah.
And that's with all loans. So I'm pretty sure most people know this. Have you ever had a car loan? No, right?
I thought about it. When I was...
Because you worked in insurance. That's why I was like, what? You didn't know?
When I was going to... No, I did know. I just blanked out for a second.
Oh, okay.
But when I was working and when I was about to buy the house, I was thinking about getting a loan for an
I
expensive
think you
car.
were telling me too.
And
I
just made the decision to like buy the house first and then get a good car. Like if the house looked good, if I had that extra income there.
Yeah.
But like the more I've thought about it, and I've done a lot of research on it, especially recently because I've been really focused on my finances and being responsible with my money. And from like I've watched like hundreds of YouTube videos probably now on it, or hundreds of ChatGPT entries.
ChatGPT.
And just strictly based on that, a car loan is such a dumb idea. Because I was actually looking this up specifically yesterday. The average interest rate in the US for a used or new car is 11% interest rate annually.
That's the average right now?
Yes. So if you're buying the average car is what, 40,000, something like that.
It might be a little less.
I'm not gonna guess.
I think it's a little less. But why do you feel like it's such a dumb thing? Like
I'm about to average this because I want to give like super specific numbers.
It might be like 30. I feel like most cars are like at that price.
But what's
a feel? I don't know.
New vehicles, used vehicles. Let's do. Okay, let's say used because a lot of people are
buying used.
Let's average it to 30. That's fair.
Yeah. That's
if an average car loan is around 30,000, the average I got for used vehicles is 26,000, and for new vehicles it's 41,000. So let's average to 30,000. You're paying an extra $3,000 every year to pay for a car that you cannot actually afford.
Think about that.
3,000 per year. Like the average car loan that I saw when I was working in insurance was 6 years.
6 years, yeah.
So you're paying an average of $18,000 over the car price of a car price that you already couldn't afford.
And that's not even including insurance.
So like you're paying extra for a car that you can't afford. You're paying it over 6 years. You're tying up your income. On top of that, you're giving $18,000 over the span of 6 years to the car company, and it's just something I would never want to get into. I think the mindset that I've adopted from all that research I've made is get a car you can't afford, and if you can't afford it, you haven't worked hard enough, so get more income. What do you think about that?
I think it's completely right. I don't think it's a dumb investment.
Are you sure?
It depends on what
Wait. I'm sorry, I'm gonna interrupt you right there. You used the word investment.
No, because you said it was a dumb thing to do.
Yeah.
And I 50% agree with that. Because it depends on, let's say you have 20,000, right? So you have 20,000 to put either on a car or an investment, right? Let's say, or no, we'll put this other example because that's not gonna work with what my point is. We'll do 40,000. Let's say you have 40,000 and you're thinking of buying a car that's gonna cost you 40,000, right? Or you're planning to invest that money into like the stock market, right? Depending on what your interest rate is, it might be better to just get a loan and put the money in the stock market versus just buying the car.
I agree.
As a whole.
Maybe if
like
your
the
interest is 0%.
No, I think the interest rate has to be lower than like 4%.
My parents got a loan at 0%. That's the only loan they've ever had, and this is why I have this in
How
mind.
did they get that?
I think they've always had really good credit scores, and I think I've learned a lot from them. I think
0%? I didn't know that was possible.
I think my dad's at 800, and my mom's at a 770.
But you can get like a zero interest.
They got a Toyota Corolla.
How does the company make
It was a long time
the
ago.
bank?
The bank doesn't they probably lose money on it, or they take a commission from the dealer. But I think it's good for the dealer because it gives them an extended customer pool. Does that make sense? But yeah, they had a 0% interest loan on a $13,000 car. So I think
See,
I like
that
that point.
case, it is better.
Yes, it is better if you can pay it cash. Because if not, because if you have the $13,000, you get the 0% loan, you invest the $13,000 elsewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can't afford the car and you want to make car payments on it, just get a car that you can afford so you have spare money to invest. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
So
most people do not get a car loan, basically.
Yeah. Well, if you can get a 0% loan on a car that you can already pay cash for, do it and put the rest of the money into something. But I think 50-50 might be a stretch, but in a low amount of situations, it might be a good idea. Like 95% of situations, probably don't get a loan. Like, I don't know if I want to say get a loan if it makes sense for you, because a lot of people are going to say it makes sense for me because I want that car. But like, be super careful about that. Be very meticulous.
How you want to measure if you can afford? Because I feel like we're saying afford a lot, but a lot of people don't know what the actual word of afford means.
If you have cash to pay for it, and then you have some left over.
Right. And I feel like as well is in another way of looking at it, and this is by what's his name? I forgot what his name is.
I know.
That guy.
That guy. Who that does not know.
Ramsey.
Dave Ramsey?
Dave Ramsey, there you go. Dave Ramsey it says that another way of looking at things is by, I think it was him. It might not be him, but I think it was him. It's basically, if you're gonna get a car, is what you want to do is give the biggest down payment that you can, but so that the monthly payments are less. Your total things that you're wasting or money that you're wasting for transportation is less than 10% of your income.
Yeah.
So if you make, just to throw some numbers out there, $10,000 a month, then what you spend on your car, and that's including insurance.
I don't think Dave Ramsey says it. But
I don't remember.
because I know he says don't get a car loan.
I don't
It might have
remember
been someone
who it
else.
was.
It might have been someone else.
Yeah. So it's either
Interest, car payment.
the interest, right? So that's going to be the loan, the insurance, the gas, the maintenance. All of that has to be less than 10% of your income. That's how you'll know if you can afford a car. Oil, step grab. I remember. Yeah. So it's those four things. It has to equal less than 10% of what your income is. That's what you'll be able to afford. So if you make less than like $3,000, if you make like $3,000 a month, then you cannot afford a car that's what, like more than $300 in maintenance and insurance and everything added. So in those cases, and which is most cases, because most people make $3,000, then you shouldn't get a car. You should instead opt to save for a car. You know, maybe use public transportation and so on, so that you don't have to actually, waste on a car. Save up so you can buy the car out full cash.
Yeah.
And that way you don't waste so much on maintenance and loans and all of that. And you already have your car, and it's not a thing that's gonna be recurring, every single month, but just the gas and insurance, which should be less than $300.
Oh yeah, I get that. And I think the biggest deterrent of people's not wanting or having a reason to save is not having set financial goals. I don't know if you've met people like that they spend because maybe they don't know what they want to save for, or what their financial, or they have maybe unclear financial goals.
Right.
Like their goal is to make as much money as possible. And this is what I've seen a lot of. A lot of people hope to be financially successful without doing the work that it takes to be at a financially successful place. And I think that's a big deterrent when it comes to saving, because you kind of just hope that you win the lottery or something.
Exactly. If your plan is hope, you basically have no plan. You actually gotta have something, a plan a guide that you're following that will eventually get you there step by step. Because otherwise, it's just you hoping, right? Or what do you feel about that?
Yeah, a super big deterrent that I see is just not setting a clear goal. I think if you're watching this right now and you don't know what you want to do with saved money or what you want to invest in, set a clear goal. Watch some YouTube videos. Yeah, watch stuff on investments.
Yeah.
Research stocks, research home opportunities in your area or even outside of your area. Research a business that you might be interested in, like something that you can compete in your area or even outside or online. Like with e-commerce being a thing or service-based businesses being a thing, it is super easy. It's more easy than ever to start now. But the biggest thing is to define it. Like I think if you're watching this, you should just write it down right now on a piece of paper or on a Google Doc, on a sticky note on your computer. Just write it down, make it clear. Like my goal is to invest this much by the end of the year and have this big of an emergency fund.
So that, you know, when something crazy comes along the way, you do have the money to cover it. And that's why, you know, tracking your money and being aware of what you have and what you spend is very important to help you, like you said, reach those financial goals. If you want to save for a house, don't just say, I want to buy a house. Actually, like, put thought into it. Like, what is it going to take for me to actually be able to afford this house? Can I do it with the money that I'm making at my job right now? Or do I need to get another job? Or do I need to ask for more hours to maybe gain a little bit more money and then put into a savings account that eventually will become my first down payment towards a house? It's like basically coming up with a plan, asking yourself, this is why sales is very good with this, because you're kind of probing yourself, you know, asking yourself questions, basically probing to yourself, but basically asking the hows, the whats, the whens, and all of that stuff so that you can actually achieve those financial goals. And that's why budgeting is very, very important, so that you can basically achieve it in a timely manner, not just have it as a dream.
Because if you're not there, if you're not in the place where you want to be, you can notice that and then do more. You know this. I did DoorDash for a while because like my job wasn't cutting it in terms of income, and I noticed that it was not going to fit my budget. So when I got out of work, I did DoorDash, and I was making like there was weeks where I made like an extra $300 a week just from doing that.
Yeah, I think you made more now.
I think my biggest week was like 300. I didn't make more than the regular job, but it worked way less hours. So I think my hourly rate was probably
better,
higher.
Yeah.
But just identify when you're not hitting your goals, and if you can, like find a way to do more. Because you can always do more, or you can always do less. It's just a matter of like making the decision what you're deciding. Because if you decide to not do more, you're making the conscious decision to do less.
Exactly. That's pretty much why you should, you know, always budget and be super, super, super aware of what you're doing and what you're doing it for. You know, maybe it's, you know, like you said, you know, getting a house, you know, maybe being financially free, maybe retiring. I don't know. It depends, you know, as well as your circumstance, right? So if you're not keeping track of what you're doing every single day when it comes to your spending, it's gonna be very hard for you to stay on track to your financial goals instead of just having like a feeling that you're actually achieving that, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it can also help as well for preparing you for emergencies, like you said before. What's one instance that you feel like preparing for an emergency or having an emergency fund can help you with? Like, give me some examples that you went.
Even me, I had it like when I crashed my car, and I couldn't run on a car. Like if I had an emergency fund in that moment, it would have been so much easier for me because right now I'm still like in the process of getting another car, and I got lucky because my dad was able to lend me a car for these past few weeks. And well, my car is done, which I'm going every weekend to try and work on it and get it fixed. And just like I was lucky, but if I hadn't had the opportunity to get a loaner car, I'd be walking to places, I'd be going on a bus, and I wasn't prepared for that crash. Like I was not financially prepared because I had everything in my plate. Just to touch back on that, like my same investments, it's something that's taken a slight hit from that because I've had to make withdrawals when emergencies come.
Right.
And It's put me, yes, like I made investments in the house and that's what has helped me the most. But if I had had a bigger emergency fund or a bigger pile of money when I made the transition from jobs, I would have been in a better place now. Does that make sense?
For sure. And it's like, we're speaking out of experience, so we've definitely been through it. One situation that comes into mind for me was when my car actually, it was the first time, it wasn't this time, but
Yeah.
I think it was like 2 years ago, actually broke down. I believe it was the gas pump. Basically, it was an unexpected repair. I had to get it fixed because it was something that took me to work to make more money, right? So I didn't at the time. I believe I only had like $100, and I as well had to withdraw some money from my 401k. It was actually from my 401k, and I remember
You should have gotten a loan on that.
I could have probably gotten a loan on that, but
Did they tell you about it?
I didn't want any loans. I was like, if that's and at the time, keep in mind that I wasn't very knowledgeable when it came to 401ks, loans, and all of it. So I was just like, it's the money. And I was like, well, I'm gonna use this. And I just took it. I think it was like $3,000 that I had saved up.
Yeah.
And I actually got like 2,000 something. I think it was like 2,200 or 300. No, to like actually, like for me to get from the 401k because of the tax implications. So it took like a huge amount out of my actual like money. I was like, that hurt. But I was like, anyways, I have the money. So I had to spend all of that money to put into that, fixing that, because my mistake was going to the dealership. So they charge you for pretty much, even if the guy goes and takes a break in the back, they'll charge you for that. So it was a lot. It was very expensive because it's an Audi car as well, so it was a dealership. It was very expensive, and that kind of left me, pretty much broke for those couple of weeks. I was like, man, it was such a hit that I had to like stop doing a lot of stuff that I love doing to do more work. So I had to take on extra hours to come with that deficit. And yeah, that pretty much taught me like, hey, you should always have like even if it's like $500 to like $1,000 as an emergency, just in case something like that does happen. You can always just pull it out, put it into that thing, and then save again.
Yeah.
Build it up again so that you can continue, somewhat safe. Because I feel like that's still not enough. 500 to 1,000, but
I think that's a start.
it's definitely a start.
It's a start. Like it's gonna get you from point A to point B if something small breaks.
Basically.
I know that we didn't touch on your experience with the cars, but with the car loans, but like I feel like that's something that would help a lot of people that are thinking about that.
Yeah.
Like what's your experience with that?
With car loans in general, I've had. I think it's a bad experience because, at least to me, because at the time I didn't realize like how much they'll take advantage of you. Basically, I just went to a dealership because I needed a car really bad, right? So I was like, hey, like I need a car really bad. What can you do for me? And I went to a sales guy. Number one biggest mistake is going to a dealership. So I went to the dealership, right? And we were looking at cars and everything. He was like, hey, let's do like a credit application. I got approved and everything. So I was barely started with my credit. So I had very good, decent credit at the time. Yeah. And enough to get me approved for a loan. And then I think I only put like $400 so as a down payment. And then I was able to drive back with the car. And I felt so good. I remember like driving the car back. I was like, man, I'm so glad I did this and everything. Until I actually started making the monthly payments on it, I was like, ouch.
That's tough.
I was like, ouch, And then after I started digging on more like how loans work, that's basically what triggered the, hey, let me find out how loans work. And I actually found out that instead of me paying the $16,000 that the car was worth, I think I'm gonna, because I still haven't finished paying it off, hopefully next year. But I think I'm gonna end up paying maybe like around $26,000 for it, possibly close to $30,000 for a $16,000 car.
They double over the
doubled over time. So it was really bad.
I think that's a super important experience for you and maybe for someone watching it. Like it's like such a good learning experience. And like for you, what's something that you'd do different if you were put in the exact same situation?
If I was talking to myself, let's say
like if you knew
before
what you
walking
knew
to
now,
the dealership, let's say I don't know, I have a window and I'm seeing back in the time,
Back to the Future,
and I'm seeing myself walking to the dealership. I would stop myself and pretty much tell myself like, hey, tackle yourself. Oh, no, I'm just playing. I would be like, hey, like, before going into that, learn how loans work, learn what you can actually be able to afford, like in terms of budgeting, and pretty much just like shop around. I didn't shop around. That was another thing as well that I didn't do was shop around, because I was like on a time crunch because the next day I had to go to work, so I was like, I need it today.
Did you test drive it before you bought it?
Yeah. I was about to roast the sales guy, but I'll do that later. But basically, it was I would tell those three things. I would ask myself back in the day. I would be like, hey, do you know these three things? If not, you're not qualified to even think of a car loan. So if you're like about to buy a car or thinking of buying a car, research those three things. Like, make sure you're first and foremost shopping around. Make sure that the car that you're getting is very, reliable. It's a good car, and quote your insurance. That number one mistake a lot of people make is they don't quote their insurance.
I learned that like working in insurance too, because before that I didn't know that I should go around and shop. Actually, just fun fact, Kevin sold me my first insurance policy for the home, and he helped a lot. He helped a lot, like knowing what I needed to do.
At the time, I think we were the most competitive at the time, and then it went down from there.
Yeah.
After a year,
I think the next best offer was $1,000 over for the year.
Yeah.
But that like you helped me a lot. Even I think it was probably more expensive than I would have gotten at other companies, but I learned a lot from just getting it from him, and he did help me with like knowing what I needed on the policy. So that was awesome. Like get yourself someone that actually shows you and tells you about that. And then a few months later, I went to work with him.
Yeah, true story. But I mean, if you're right now thinking of buying a car, please quote your insurance, because that's like the hidden monthly payment that they don't tell you about the dealership. Salesmen won't even touch on what the insurance is gonna be if you don't ask. If you ask him, he's gonna be like, the average for this car is like $100.
That's cap, especially if you're young.
Yeah. If he sees you young, then he'll just give you like an average and then just try to work around that and not tell you. And right now for I believe 21 and younger, it's like over $300 easily. Yeah. And then I think it doesn't go down until like you're 24. I'm 22, so I'm paying like $280.
I get quoted at like between 200 and 300 for just liability.
There you go. And that's just liability. It's not even full coverage. Yeah. So, and you need full coverage when you have a lien holder. So, by lien holder, I mean like you have a loan. You have a loan on the car. You need full coverage. No matter what you do, you need full coverage on the vehicle. So keep that in mind as well. That's basically what I would tell myself. Yeah. Well, if you were to, let's say you were to buy a car, and let's say you don't know anything about how it works, right? What would be the first thing you research?
The first thing I research?
Yeah.
I think just based on like the research that I've actually made, like look into how an interest can affect you. Like look at, I don't know if they have this for auto interest rates, but I know for the home, there's an amortization schedule which tells you how much interest you're paying every payment. If there is that, look at that, or how much you're going to pay over the span of the whole loan compared to the actual price of the car. Because I guarantee you, if you're buying a $16,000 car and you do the math that your payments are like $300 for 6 years.
That was mine. It was like almost close to $400.
Yeah,
the average is like $700.
If you're making a $700 payment a month and it's over 6 years, that's at least going to be double.
Yeah.
Or depending on your interest rate, like if you realize you're going to pay double as opposed to 16,000 and your like full payment over the 6 years is 32,000, I guarantee you that's going to deter you from wanting to buy. Just be aware of how much you're paying over the span of time, and if you would want to pay that.
There's like an average rule. I can't like a average like rule of thumb, but I can't remember what it was. But basically, if your monthly payment is, I'll use me as an example. If your monthly payment is 400, what's actually going to the loan to pay it off will be this amount, which is I believe it's 300, and then this part that's left, that's what the bank is banking when it's gaining.
Do you know what opportunity cost is?
Opportunity cost.
It's basically what you're missing out on by doing something else.
Yes.
Just take into consideration the opportunity cost of getting a loan based on your financial goals. What is getting that loan stopping you from doing elsewhere in terms of your financial goals? Because I guarantee you getting a car is not going to further your financial goals.
100%.
But I think that's super big. Opportunity cost, looking at the deterrents, and just in general, like I think the biggest thing is that like being able to save money, getting ready for your financial goals, being prepared for emergencies, building your emergency fund, and just I want to touch a little bit more on emergency fund because like my fund is super low right. It's small. It's like $1,000 because I'm working on building that and getting on track for whatever next endeavor I try to pursue. Just in general, what are some emergencies that you've run into in the car? Like what kind of issue did your car run into? You said it was...
Oh, there's so many. With cars, there's so many that you can run into.
I think that's the biggest one, right?
What?
Like cars. Cars are...
Oh,
like,
yeah. It's something that you use every day and you have to keep up with the maintenance, and if you don't, it will come back and bite you.
You're going to need to do some sort of maintenance once a year at least, whether it be an oil change, and I think even doing that yourself is super useful.
Oil changes are like due every like 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, they're easy to do.
Yeah, you're gonna do those.
I don't drive a lot, so I do it every like
6 months or what?
Depending on the mileage that I drive, depending on the car.
Because it's every
3,000 to 7,000 miles, depending on the car.
I do it every 5.
Yeah, I think 5,000 is a good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Like on the...
It depends, yeah, on what you
On
drive.
the Versa, I was doing it like once every 5,000 miles. If I could do it earlier, I would.
The nicer the car, the more close it should be, because I was doing it every 5,000 and the car still broke down. So you gotta keep in mind like as well what car do you have and like what its durability will be. Don't compare it like a Lamborghini. If you drive that thing, you're gonna have to do oil changes a lot
The
more.
maintenance might be more expensive than your monthly payment.
Yeah, like you'll need to do more frequent maintenance on that. Versus a Toyota Corolla, you could probably drive that thing for a whole year and it will still be good. Don't do it.
I think
But,
researching
that will help.
researching car reliability is something that's super important too, because some people are less car savvy than others. Like I don't like doing maintenance on my car. That's why I try to get the most reliable car that I can.
Yeah.
Because I'm slow on maintenance, I try to keep my schedule busy. I don't know, I don't want to go do maintenance
You don't want to do the maintenance
every 2 months.
Yeah.
But I think that's super important. But yeah, like be aware of that. If your goal is to open a business, if your goal is to save for a house or put into a 401k or a Roth IRA, track it down. It's gonna help you stay on track, and it's gonna help you like be accountable. Put it somewhere where you can look at it every day. And yeah, just prepare your emergency fund for emergencies. It's gonna help you with unexpected bills.
And it's not even, we're relating it to cars, but it can be anything else. It can be
With the house.
a medical bill, it can be a house.
Give
I
that
know
example right now.
something happened
Dude,
to you recently.
There's a lot of things that have happened recently with the house.
Tell us
like,
about it.
but okay, I'll go into it because like here, I've had the house for like a year and a half. What happened at the beginning, the first issue that it had was not heating up. The air conditioning broke for the winter, and it was like I was super cold in the winters, and that cost me like $800 to get a new water heater. And at the time I didn't have anything, so that's also when I started doing the DoorDash. That helped so much. Like being able to do more when I didn't have enough to keep my goals on track was super helpful. And then since it's a duplex, on the other side, the same thing happened. So they had to replace. I use a property manager, which is super helpful. I don't have to stress a lot, and I pay part of it of the income. But it was another $1,200 to fix that water heater. So, and then recently, right now it's summer and it's super hot. The motor on the evap cooler broke. That was another $300 that I just had to spend. So I spent at least $2,000 on top of my mortgage payments, just out of unexpected repairs. I don't know if that's comparable to cars because I haven't had to do a lot.
It depends on what car you have. I feel like to mine you probably right around.
It's comparable.
I mean, keep in mind that I had to rebuild my.
Oh yeah,
engine,
that was
so it was like $5K.
Never mind. Yeah.
So
engine things are
the car.
expensive.
It depends on the car, really.
So yeah. What's like in your experience? What's a good amount of emergency fund to have saved?
You should have 3 to 6 months saved. If you can do 6 months of your monthly expenses saved, that would be you're set. Like if something were to happen, you got it covered. Yeah. But if you're not making a lot of money, then starting with even $100 for some people that don't probably spend a lot, that could be a lot.
Let's say we're past that place because like we touched
on
the basic.
Let's start low.
We touched on the basic. Like get 500 to 1,000. If you have debt, if you have other things to pay off, but like going from there, if you're financially stable, like what's the biggest goal? What's
your over like that 100 saved, and then you go from the 500 to the 1,000, and then from there, let's say you have no debt, you should start with getting into that 3 to 6 month rule. So you should be saving. I don't know if you spend, including rent, utilities, insurance, everything. You should be, let's say you spend $3,000 a month on just bills. Yeah. Then you should have saved up, what's that, like 9,000?
Yeah.
9 to.
I just said I didn't do the math.
9 to 18,000, which is like 3 to 6 months of expenses. You should save. You should have that saved up already. So you should have on the side. Then once you save that up, you can start going into investing. And that's another cool topic of ours is that the investment part. How would you say
you should start?
Like
the first thing, for example, with the house, like I had my initial payments, the closing costs, and on top of that I had like 30,000 saved up, which was a little bit less than.
How much is the savings? No, I'm sorry, the closing costs. What is that entail?
I paid 24,000 for closing costs, which is fees from the mortgagee, from the title company, from the I think those.
Is that where the agent gets his commission from?
No, they get their commission from the seller. The person that sells it, since they're getting the profit, they pay their commission. That's only if you're a seller of a house. You have to pay the commission to the broker. But what I ran into is that for me, after making such a big investment, the sweet spot was a year of emergency fund, a year of expenses saved up, because my year of expenses would have been like 40,000, and I had a $30,000 savings, and for the first 6 months I couldn't get a tenant, so I was paying everything out of pocket.
Yeah.
And then for 6 months, and then I was making a little bit less than what I needed to make to pay off the thing, so I ran out of my emergency fund. And I should have saved a little bit more. I should have had a year of expenses when I made such a big investment like that. Which I think that's a sweet spot when you have big expenses, like save up a year, because sometimes your job, if your job's not going to give you enough, or if you're in the process of changing jobs like I did, I took a big risk, and I think that's how it went like that. But I never want to make a big investment like that without having a year of planned expenses and savings. Because that came back and bit me in the ass later. which was it was super hard. I wouldn't do anything different if I was given the opportunity because I learned so much. I think that's the biggest difference. The 1 year of expenses as opposed to 9 months that I had.
Do you think when it comes to your choice of house, do you think you could have made a better choice in that sense? Like maybe getting a house that doesn't require that much maintenance, or
I had this conversation with my dad before, like yesterday before.
oh,
He told me, he was like,
give
hey,
you the points.
he was like, you should not have bought such a big house because you were not ready for that. It was your first one. And I, like, my word for word answer was, if I was put in the exact same position, I would do it again.
Yeah.
Because it gave me the hustle mentality of having something that, yes, it was above my knees, but at the same time,
You made it work.
I'll make it work. It put me in that mindset.
Yeah.
And I learned so much from it because now I'm confident that when the time comes, I'll be able to buy another property and profit so much faster from it.
Yep. And plus, what's already done, you can't undo. So it's all obviously, looking at the positivities, the positive side of the aspect of it as well. But something that I was gonna say was that I know you got this house, but let's say that you didn't have the same money. Let's say you had just enough for a down payment, right? But you went back in time, but you didn't have the money to. You didn't have your yearly expense, whatever, saved up, right?
Wait, say the question again.
So let's say
I
you go back in time
Go
before
back.
you buy the house.
Yes.
You're looking for a house to buy, right? Let's say instead of you having, you had like 90 something K, I'm not sure how much you had. Let's say you only had 3.5% of whatever the house was gonna cost, so maybe you have like 20,000, we'll say,
Yeah.
to put into the down payment for a house. Would you would have still bought this house, or would you would have went for another?
No, I would have done the exact same thing because I feel like
The
this
same
is the
house.
best value for money. I think it just built character and it put me in a better place for the future, even though it was harder. Does that make sense? I think a piece of advice that I would have given me is don't wait till it gets hard to start doing them. Like start doing the DoorDash as soon as you change jobs.
Yeah.
Because you're going to need that income. Like, don't wait till it gets bad to start doing more. And I think that's something that everyone watching this can take from this. Because if you're going to school, you have extra time in the afternoon. Like, go to DoorDash, get a part-time job, start saving money. Because at the end of the day, it's not going to do anything but benefit you.
100%. What I was gonna say is that I think a lot of people, well, I think everyone really doesn't know what our situation is. So I am currently still in debt. I'm working on it, but I'm paying it off so fast. It's amazing. I'm blessed to have the ability to, or have the job to do so. With Andres as well, he is paying it off as well. But we're speaking from experience. So this podcast that we're doing is so that we look back in time as well from when we're better, because we know we will be like
in a better place.
for sure in a couple of years. It's just a matter of if it happening as well. But we're definitely doing what we need to do in order to accomplish those goals. But as well, so that you guys can see what the experience is.
I think sharing the
what we
experience is
felt.
super important for other people to see the mistakes that we've made so that they don't fall into the same things, or even the benefits and the good things that we've gone through. That's going to help other people like have a framework or have someone else that, oh no,
The camera went blurry.
did it just happen?
You were saying?
Yeah, just like documenting the experience and like being able to put it there, like from where we started and to where we're going to be. I think that's going to help a lot of people, not just us. I don't know. I wouldn't want anyone to go through like difficulties. I think when other people go through that kind of difficulties, it can stop other people from doing it by sharing it. So I think that's awesome. I don't know if you have anything else to add. I think we covered a lot of stuff.
What I was gonna say is that the point of us doing this is for that I already explained, but as well so that like in the future we're better in terms of quality of life and personal and as a person as well. moment so that you can see us then and then come back to this and think, oh, okay, so this is what they were thinking at that specific time. So maybe kind of compare yourself towards that as well. Because keep in mind right now, we don't know what the future holds for us, but we're definitely doing the work to overcome that. So hopefully something that will be in the future that you can come back to and be like, wow, like, okay, they've made some progress, right? But right now we're both in debt, right?
I think I have like 10 times the debt that you have.
Yeah, mine's more consumer debt. His is more like, what's consumer too?
Consumer debt,
but it's also house. It's mainly the house, really. But it's a risk that he knew he wanted to take, and I feel like
I think it's gotten better from where it was, and I think every month it gets a little bit better, and by next year everything is going to be profits.
Yeah, basically.
So that's what it's looking like, and I think we're all headed in a great direction, and I hope if you're watching this, you're headed in a great direction too.
That's basically it. That's the purpose of this podcast, so that
let's kill it.
So everyone can kill it.
Let's get money. Let's learn from each other's experiences, and like if you have questions or want resources in the comment section, you can say it, and we'll reply. We get the notifications.
Yeah, for sure. We'll reply.
We're here to help.
So, yeah, if you have any even tips on how we can better the podcast, or if you can add some insight to what we have to say, please do it. Please shoot us a comment. And yeah, do you have anything else to add?
I think that's it.
I think
we're good.
We're about to hit the hour, or if not, we already hit it.
No, it's there.